Listen, it's funny because the New York Jets just played football this past week, and they got embarrassed. I mean, utterly embarrassed by the freaking Buffalo Bills. It's one of those things where you look at this situation and you're asking yourselves, how did we get here? How did we arrive at a situation to where the New York Jets look this particularly bad when the beginning of the year we were talking about Super Bowl aspirations? Literally, that was the thought process. Super
Yep.
Bowl aspirations, and it wasn't just Jets fans. It was a plethora of individuals outside of the Jets fans freaking like bubble that thought this team had figured it out. They were a quarterback away. Nevertheless, the Jets are 4-11, 4-12, whatever it is,
We have
and it's
4
embarrassing.
wins, and it's
4 wins.
December.
It's December. So, hey, me and Tigo are jumping on tonight. I want to go ahead and wish everybody again a happy holidays. Hope you had a great Christmas. This is going to be one of those very, very short Hangar Hangouts. I got my kids in the background trying to go ahead and play music as we go ahead and carry on into 2025. So we're going to hang out with you guys a little bit and talk about how the Jets turned their season around for the worse. Because originally coming into 2024, this particular season, we thought the New York Jets were going to be Super Bowl bound. LOL Jets, LOL us. We played ourselves. We're going to talk about it. So, yeah, let's kick it off.
I can do it all, I will never fall. It's the Renaissance, you know that I got the mother sauce, man. You know I'm the boss, I know what it costs. Have you what I lost? I'm so versatile, yeah, I'm a Renaissance, man. I can do it all, I will never fall. It's the Renaissance, you know that I got the mother sauce, man. You know I'm the boss, I know what it costs. Have you what I lost? I'm so versatile, yeah, I'm a Renaissance, man.
Congratulations, brother.
All right. Listen, first of all, I'm going to have to go ahead and change that intro. Obviously, Coach Salah is no longer with us. One of the many reasons why I think this team took a shift away from what they were supposed to achieve this year. If you guys hear fireworks in the background, I apologize. I'm in Texas, and they are already kicking them off in my neighborhood. They waited for no one. I got my kids and my daughter's best friend, Lily, also in the house. They're all trying to go ahead and get this party going. The wife is serving them right now dinner. But I knew we had to go ahead and get on here. Tigo agreed to go ahead and jump on. I know he's got his family as well to deal with as well as we go.
I'm home alone.
You're home alone right now.
Yeah, my wife is a nurse. She had to work, and my kids are 2 and 1. We're not going to keep them up.
Good point.
Like, I'm alone.
I got a bunch of teenagers, so I don't have that.
No, yeah. Different story completely.
Different story. The wife is home right now. Like, we're about to eat dinner. And so we got about 30 minutes to go ahead and pretty much talk Jets. I wanted to go ahead and chop it up with you guys as Jets fans as well. We've had a rough season, man, a rough year. This embarrassment beatdown by the Buffalo Bills, to me, I think is second to none. I don't know if ever there was more of an embarrassment in my time as a Jets fan. I've been a Jets fan since 1996. And to me, this just felt different in terms of how embarrassing it was. You're talking about an opportunity. Listen, the season's a shot. We know that. We know the season's shot. We didn't achieve nothing we were supposed to this particular season. But at the very least, as Jets fans, give us this. Give us a victory against one of our rivals. Just do that. And not only did we not get the victory against the Buffalo Bills, which would have been nice to have, but we got embarrassed by the Buffalo Bills. So much so that they pulled their pretty much starters by the third quarter. They didn't have any starters out there, so we decided, like, we'll match it as well in the fourth quarter and bring out Tyrod Taylor.
Then we scored.
And then we scored twice. We scored twice. Listen, how did we get to this point, Tigo? I have my thought process on it, but we really came into 2024 season thinking, hey, wow, we finally did it. We got the quarterback we got a quarterback to go ahead and put all the pieces together. We're about to go ahead and dominate. Other analysts thought like the Jets are scary. That defense is ridiculous. Breece Hall is him. They got freaking Aaron Rodgers now with a guy like Garrett Wilson. We really thought that this team was going to accomplish great things in 2024. What happened? What turned around? Where was the turning point that allowed us as Jets fans and the Jets organization to get to 4 wins on the season? And let's be honest, I'm not really positive we're going to go ahead and get to 5 wins come this weekend against the Dolphins.
Minnesota happened. That's when the season went to crap. If we're gonna be objective about this, it was the Minnesota game. Woody losing to a quarterback that he drafted years ago in a game where we didn't look competitive. Coming off of the back of a game where we scored 9 points. Remember, the Denver game, we lost by 1 point against a rookie quarterback that didn't look good. Bo Nix is probably in the conversation for the offensive rookie of the year, like right now. He's probably not going to win it, but he'll be in the conversation. But at week 4, there were conversations of did Denver make the wrong pick, right? And that's when it fell apart, was in week 5. And what do I mean by that? It's week 5 was when Woody got involved. Fired Saleh without talking to Joe Douglas. Defense, which, to be fair, wasn't performing necessarily all that great. We saw week 1, we got 32 dropped on us by San Francisco. But, like, that was the only stinker we had. Has Minnesota scored under 23 points all year? Besides the Jets game? You know what I mean?
That's facts.
And so now you're looking in a situation where we're staring down the barrel of not another 4-win season. Thankfully, we've had 7-win seasons in the past. But we're staring down the barrel of a 4-win season because Woody just couldn't keep it in his pants. And I'm not sitting here trying to advocate that Robert Saleh is a good head coach. He's not. But the team fell apart when we fired him. Because we put a guy who had no business being a head coach as head coach. Couldn't handle those responsibilities. He didn't give up the defensive play calling, so the defense fell apart in the worst way possible. Like, everybody regressed. Everybody regressed. It's not just like one or two. No. Every player that was a Pro Bowler last year isn't one this year. And it's like not even close. Like, the only player that's realistically like doing well this year, and I think it's more not because of the coaching or anything, it's just a matter of he didn't really get to play before, is Jamie Sherwood.
I would argue Garrett Wilson. I would argue Garrett Wilson as well.
On defense.
Oh, defense. Gotcha. Fair enough.
Everybody regressed on defense. So it's just like the season fell apart week 5. And then you got to have the conversation of we're probably what? An 8-win team if we don't have Greg Zuerlein on this team, if we go and get a kicker sooner? How many one-score games did Greg Zuerlein literally lose us? What, the Denver game? The Minnesota game? The Buffalo game? This is just off the top of my head. You know?
No, you're right. There's at least 5 wins I can think of that our kickers, whatever you want, just blew it up, man. They just it was embarrassing to say the least. But I'm actually surprised you went with the Minnesota game. I was expecting you to go ahead and go earlier, knowing you and I we're always on the opposite side of the spectrums in terms of like when the negatives really started to impact things. But I'm with you, man. I think that Minnesota game, I think the Jets going out there getting embarrassed in London, I think that happening amongst the freaking fans or the friends of Woody Johnson was the turning point. I think that's where this season died. The season officially died in London against the Minnesota Vikings, a team, mind you, that has been on fire, a team, mind you, that has earned their way to the 2nd seed potentially in the NFC. And yet Woody Johnson, as you stated, couldn't keep it in his pants and fired freaking Saleh. And by no means, I'm with Tigo on this one, and very rarely will you see us being this freaking lockstep in terms of agreements, aligned. I don't think Saleh is a freaking head coach. I don't think he's a head coach in the NFL. I don't think he was the dude. I loved him in the beginning. I love the charisma he brought to the table. Again, our military backgrounds allowed us to kind of like really clench onto him.
I love
because we
the
thought, like,
idea of
the
Salah.
idea of what he was. Because in our minds, he gave you that military, like, sergeant, staff sergeant, you know what I'm saying, like, mindset. You're like, hell yeah, I'm gonna run through a wall for this guy. But later on, you realize, hey, when the bullets start flying, this guy disappears, and we realized that real quickly. So I don't think Salah was it. I don't think he was. But I will say this: I do believe the New York Jets quit, or they died, or whatever you want to call it, when we fired Salah. There's a part of me that believes if Salah was still the head coach of this team, we would have potentially seen a more competitive defense getting to this point. The defense has died. I don't know. I don't think anyone, myself, Tigo, any freaking Jets content creator, any analyst that watched the New York Jets thought the defense was going to go ahead and just fall off of a cliff. When you got guys like Sauce Gardner, you know what I'm saying, 2-time All-Pro. You got a guy like Quentin Williams, who's literally the third ranked defensive tackle in football. DJ Reed being a top 10 freaking guy. I don't think any of us thought like this defense was going to fall off of a cliff at all. Granted, they weren't playing great. They were playing good, not great, but good under Salah. Once Salah left, it became abundantly clear that, okay, Salah was literally focusing primarily on the defense. Ulbrich is the equivalent of Nathaniel Hackett in Green Bay, where he's just pretty much holding a board and pretending like he's the offensive coordinator.
No, I don't even think it's that. I don't even think it's that. Because Salah wasn't calling the plays. Salah wasn't designing. He didn't. We know that because he didn't. We could see it on the sideline when Ulbrich was reading the plays and Salah's doing other stuff.
This is where I think we didn't realize it. We didn't pay attention to it. I think Salah created the game plan.
Yes, 100%.
Week in and week out.
100%.
And come game time, hey, Ulbrich, these are the freaking play calls for my defense. This is what you're going to call. This is how we're going to adjust. If you see this, you're going to do this. If you see this, you're going to do this. We didn't see him calling the plays on defense. I got you on that. Agreed, 100%. But I do believe there were stipulations on, like, hey, listen to me. When this happens, you're going to do this. When this happens, you're going to do this. Because the defense has fallen off of a cliff, Tigo. Like,
no, I agree.
You can't explain it. You can't sit here
and
tell me that
he's out of his
Ulbrich
depth.
is a competent. Exactly. There it is.
But
the thing is this, though. He's still focused. He's still focused on the defensive side. He's come out and said, like, yeah, I'm going to keep calling the plays to the defense. We already know he ain't doing the head coach thing. That's been abundantly clear. He ain't a head coach. He ain't doing that. But for you to not be a head coach, but the defense to also fall off of a cliff, to me, okay, there's no way. You can't be this bad. Like, if the whole team as a whole sucked because you couldn't do the head coach thing, got you. But the defense since the departure of Salah has been – it's been a joke, bro. It's been so bad that we look at games now and we're like, all right, damn,
who's gonna mess up this play?
Ball? Who's gonna exactly? We all call it. You and I are on a group chat. We're on a text thread. We always talk. We're sitting there like, yeah, I have no faith that this defense is going to stop a nosebleed. But why? Because Ulbrich has shown us that he wasn't the mastermind behind the elite defense we've had over the last couple of years.
Gunny, you said it perfectly, and this is like this is such a perfect, and it sucks that people aren't going to get this, but like you and I are, because we were in the military. Is when we got Salah and Ulbrich, you said it perfectly. We thought we were getting, the gunnery sergeant.
We thought we were.
We thought we were getting the master sergeant. Someone who's seen the stuff, because he was in San Francisco. He's been to a Super Bowl.
Exactly.
He was there. He did the thing. He was on that staff. He knows what it takes. But in reality, we got the second lieutenant right out of officer school. And that's what we got instead. Not going to listen to anybody who's done the thing, who did the thing, who knows what it means to see that the bullets are flying. And you're just in a situation where the rest of the team is just, we know this guy's an idiot. But that's what we did when we went. And here's the thing. And that's both when we hired Salah again, because I think the one thing that people aren't giving enough credit is that Saleh was the ultimate motivator. You know what Saleh was? Saleh was Rex Ryan. That's what he was. Saleh was an ultimate motivator and not a good head coach. And
the X's and O's part, big difference.
No, because on defense, he can run a defense. But again, when it comes to the overall scope of operating the unit that is an NFL football team, he couldn't handle that job. And I think that the falling apart of this team is twofold. One, in terms of now we have a guy who's literally drowning as a head coach in Jeff Ulbrich, but two, a team that lost all motivation because we lost the ultimate motivator. And so, like, the right solution for interim head coach, I can't, because I was so anti this when it was, but like, it would have been the tight end coach. That's it. That would have been because he's a really good motivator. I forget his name. But you know what I'm talking about.
Same here. Big stuff. Hit him like I'm having a brain fart as well. But I wanted.
A lot of people want to go to heaven, but they don't want to go through hell. If it moves, hit it. Yeah. And if it moves, and if you're not sure, hit it.
Why am I having a brain fart right now with you in regards to our tight end coach? Because I love him.
Middleton, Coach Middleton.
There it is, Middleton. Big black dude, Middleton. I'm with you, man. I think that Middleton would have probably been the better choice. Because we've already seen him in the interim aspect when Saleh had, COVID, and our team performed above expectations. Some individuals just understand not just the components when it comes to the X's and O's, but how to go ahead and play your key components in right spaces, right? Ulbrich is lost. He's clearly lost. We all were bricked up in the beginning. We were excited because we thought, okay, well, it can't be worse than Saleh, can he? We played ourselves. Ulbrich is definitively worse than Saleh. It's not even close. Like, this dude is – I don't even think he's a defensive coordinator. I don't. I'm sorry. I'm at that point now where I look at him and I realize, man, you're Nathaniel Hackett for defense. You are. You're an individual who got to where you're at based off of the head coach calling the plays for their specialty, i.e. defense for Saleh. And we thought, like, hell yeah, the defense is looking good. We see him holding the clipboard on Sundays. He's the one calling the plays. He's got to know what he's talking about, right?
I don't even think it's that. I think
ourselves.
I think he is a defensive coordinator, and I think he's probably a good one. But you have to remember all of the other responsibilities that come with being a head coach. Planning the travel, coming up with the offensive game scheme. He has to sit in those meetings. But it's not like before where he could just sit there and take a drive off.
But if we're being honest, the defense has looked so lost. We've seen the offense look stupid under Saleh. We've seen the offense get the penalties and the false starts, and we've seen that consistently.
But how often have we seen since Saleh was fired and he's kept the calling responsibilities that when the defense comes off the field, where Ulbrich is sitting with his unit and having a conversation. We don't see it anymore because before they would have those conversations on the sideline. We would see those things happen, but he can't do that because he's the head coach. And this is where, this is where I think we're going to disagree. I do think that he is a defensive coordinator, but he's out of his depth because he can't balance all of it. And for some reason, he doesn't trust Auden.
I don't, man. I look at Ulbrich now, and I look at him as a shell, or because we had Nathaniel Hackett as the proof source of what it looks like when you have a head coach that's either offensive, whatever minded, and they run the process. And I see Saleh in the same fold. We've got a defensive coordinator who was able to benefit from a Saleh ran defense. And I say this because of this. Look at the Green Bay Packers since Saleh became a consultant for them. Their defense went from freaking the 15th ranked defense to the 7th ranked defense in the NFL. The only difference was they brought in Saleh as a consultant. That to me was the tipping scales for me. I'm like, oh, damn, we messed up. Well, we didn't mess up because honestly, Saleh is not a head coach. I think he's a great defensive-minded guy. But seeing how well the Packers have this, their defense has just woken up, went from fucking 15th to 7th. I'm like, son of a bitch. The only difference is they got freaking Salah. And that was enough for me to see, just from the 4th ranked freaking defense to the 27th, I think, but they're still somewhere in the top 6, 7 because they were so far ahead in the 4th in those 4.5 weeks of having Salah. As that to me was telling. I look at
It's
the
crazy because
situation.
all of those things that you said is going to be why Salah's going to get another look as
Oh,
a head
100%.
coach. Not
100%.
soon. Not
Not
soon.
soon.
He'll be a
Couple of years from
defensive
now.
coordinator. He probably ends up, like, if we're being honest, if you're Ben Johnson, do you not want Salah to be your defensive coordinator for wherever you go? Aaron Glenn,
100%.
like, is that not a
100%.
guy that, like, you like? So there's a lot of guys that are going to be out there where you're going to be like, that's a guy that I'm going to want to be operating my defense. And then, like I said, in a couple of years, he's going to learn from his mistakes and that he can't be a little, they can't be scared when it comes to operating a team. And he'll get a head coaching job again. And everyone's going to be like, what the hell happened in New York?
Exactly. I personally believe 100% Salah will get another opportunity. I look at this team's complete like embarrassment as a whole, right? And some would say you blame Salah 100%. You blame Salah, but I feel like this is a guy who went and came into the building. He took his expertise of taking the 31st ranked defense and made it a top 3 unit a year later, which, mind you, is unheard of. Ridiculous.
Unheard of.
It doesn't happen. You don't go from the 31st ranked defense to the 3rd or 2nd or 1st best defense in the NFL overnight. He did that. Salah understands defense to a level that it's just there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it, right? In the same mindset, you look at McDaniels in Miami, who took that offense and made Tua one of the highest paid quarterbacks in football. Like, those guys are special. Those guys are special. Sometimes they're best suited to be in the coordinator position. The head coach position entails so much more that it can be a problem. But I also look at Salah and think to myself, like, man, listen, this is a guy who was battling uphill. He didn't have a quarterback. You bring in Aaron Rodgers, who immediately took over as an assistant head coach, so to speak. He was literally like in step with the freaking general manager. I'm not making any excuses for freaking Salah. Don't get it twisted. I feel like this is a guy who had plenty of opportunities to figure it out, and he couldn't figure it out. He ain't a freaking Mike Tomlin. He ain't one of those dudes. He ain't a Pete Carroll. He ain't one of those dudes. But I believe he's going to be a head coach in the NFL in the next couple of years. I'm going to say 3 years max, and you're going to see Salah again on the sidelines as a head coach. And we're going to sit here as Jets fans looking at it and think, well, damn, if we had just did this or did that, the same thing we were talking about Sam Darnold, Geno Smith, I think Salah is going to be that dude as well that gets Todd Bowles, right? And we're going to sit here as Jets fans like we've been doing and think, oh, damn, if we just weren't quick to pull the trigger. Mind you, we were not quick to pull the trigger. This dude had ample opportunity to figure this thing out. It just wasn't in the cards. I think Salah is going to be that guy where we'll be seeing on Twitter, on YouTube, or as a fan base, as a fan base organization, right? Where we're going to say, God damn it, we had Salah as our head coach and we ruined him. It is what it is. Ultimately, I look at some of these guys in terms of their success levels, and the time frames we're talking about for them to get to this point is ridiculous. Geno Smith, for 4 years after we released him, finally matters. Sam Darnold, after going through multiple freaking offensive coordinators, finally matters. Freaking Todd Bowles, after being the defensive coordinator to an offensive-minded guy and having Tom Brady as his goddamn quarterback, finally matters. A lot of those things come with nuances. I'm not going to sit here and hold that as so like, oh, LOL Jets. No. Special circumstances and time frames allowed those guys to achieve their full potential, and they got to that point. With that said, the Jets, having gone a complete 180 in terms of what they were supposed to achieve in the 2024 to 2025 season, is there a window or a way for you to look at this team and think, damn it, man, there's plenty of talent on this roster. We can still achieve blah, 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 right? What does that look like? What is your perception on how this New York Jets team can at least be in the semi-conversation of what they were in 2024, right? We obviously took a 180 and went the opposite direction of what we're supposed to achieve. So I know some of y'all looking at the title and thinking to yourselves, man, this title is freaking like, it's kind of messed up. You're talking about, how the Jets turned their season around. They did. The New York Jets turned their season around for the negative. They were supposed to be a playoff team minimum, a Super Bowl team. Like, that was the conversation.
That was the expectation.
No one, and I mean no one, even our biggest haters, did not see the New York Jets winning 4 games this year. Nobody did. It's like a 180. They turned things around for themselves. So how do we get back on the right track for what it can look like for us, hopefully in 2025, maybe 2026? What do you think?
I think we have a ton of pieces on this football team. And as far as we want to be upset with it, whatever, anything that you want to believe, the reality is that the New York Jets are not a bad football team in terms of the talent on the field. We are a horribly coached football team, like the worst coached football team in the NFL, easily. Because how many games do we have this year that we could win, just this year? Like, that's just the reality of it. So I think that the easiest way to turn this around is to get this team operating in the 21st century. Let's get a guy who can operate a modern offense. Let's get a guy who can operate a modern defense. And let's just go from there. There are a lot of places that we can go, and there are a lot of things that we can do. And I think that you can do a lot with this football team. My biggest fear is that some of the best candidates are going to be not available for the Jets when it comes to being able to turn this around. Because I looked at this and I go, because the perfect situation, like my perfect offseason, honestly, realistic, is you go and you get Agnew from the Lions. Obviously, I want Ben Johnson, but we're not going to get Ben Johnson. Let's be real.
Whoa.
We're not going to get Ben Johnson.
Tigo, for once, as Jets fans, can we not put the negative into the atmosphere?
Ben's staying. Ben is staying in Detroit.
I don't think so, bro.
Bro, he's staying in Detroit. He's staying in Detroit.
We talked about this earlier today. I disagree 100%.
Dude, I have my thing, and the way that I look at it is like, it's been 2 hiring cycles of really good jobs that became available. And he didn't show any interest in any of them. And he stayed in Detroit. And it's paying off for him. And part of me just looks at it and goes, is he just satisfied being an offensive coordinator? Like, he doesn't want that next bump? He doesn't have that ego, I got to be a head coach? Like, maybe. Look, I might be wrong. I think Ben's staying. Right? But you go and you get Agnew because I think Agnew's going to come in and be a positive, modern thinker because he helped build what is a Detroit Lions team that is the number 1 seed in the NFC, or is that Philly? They're the number 1, right?
No, number 1 seed. Yep. 100%.
And how they have 7 or 8 guys missing on the defensive line, and they're still
the crazy part.
And
they've lost key components to their defense, and they're still this
not
dominant.
The defense. The defensive line.
Overall. Yeah.
Just the defensive line. It's like 7 guys. And so bring in him. I think he's got a good mind for football. Go out and get Liam Cohen. He's the offensive coordinator for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And then, find our, Wade Phillips. Who's out there that is an old defensive mind that's willing to come in and be co-head coach? That's what I would do.
Pete
Carroll won't take the DC job.
He's out of the game. Out of the game for a year. You were trash on the back end of your career as a freaking defense as a head coach for the Seahawks. You got to earn your way back. That's the nature of the NFL.
Dude, I'm with you. If Pete would come back as a DC, sign me up. Especially
1,000%.
because he could be the co-head coach in theory with a young offensive mind and teach him the ropes and be like, look, this is how we're going to do things. This is how everything's going to operate so that you won't have to. I love that idea. And like,
that's
sign
my thought
me up.
process.
But
I feel like in this caveat, I know we're 30 minutes in. I got people freaking not being quiet in my kitchen right now as they're eating their dinner because they're like, hey, you said 30 minutes. This is what happens when you have kids, guys. They hold you to time frames you give them before you get on the clock. So I need about 2 minutes from you guys, 5 minutes from you guys. No. Let me get five. Because Tigo and I talk. We talk. I don't need 5. All right. So I'm with Tigo on this one to an extent, right? I believe that if you're going to do the new young hot shot coordinator, and I think Ben Johnson's on the table. I do. I believe he is. A lot of individuals look at me like I'm crazy when I say this, but Ben Johnson's press conference about what that next step looks like for him, he identified the New York Jets in literally in its clarity. He said 3 things. 1, I want to go ahead and make sure the GM and I are on the same page.
easy.
2,
New GM.
GM and him have to go ahead and have similar freaking timetables to get this thing right. Got you covered, big dog.
Play
And
acting.
3, this is the big part. This was the big part. The third part was there has to be an understanding that there's been an issue with how things were run, and that's how you suck. That's why you're trash. The Woody Johnson component is my biggest fear. It really is. I don't know if a guy like if Woody Johnson is going to admit, like, I've been a trash owner. I have been. I haven't been involved too much. You call me out on it, Ben Johnson, but I want you as my head coach, so I'm willing to go ahead and work on it. That's where my concerns lie. I know the majority of individuals want freaking Vrabel, and I get it. I understand. I'm not opposed to Vrabel. I'm not opposed to it. So Tigo's out. I'm not opposed to it. But I will tell you this. Vrabel, for me, I believe if we get what we want as the Jets fan base, because we get that quite a bit. We were all big on Salah. Everybody's pretending like we weren't big on Salah. Yeah, we were. Twitter says the Jets fan base was like, hell yeah, get Salah. Don't let him leave the building. We had individuals hiding in bushes trying to make sure they captured Salah. That's how much we were bought into freaking Salah. Adam Gase, y'all want to pretend like we weren't big on Adam Gase. Stop it.
He was top of the list.
He was on top of the list for Jets fans. We wanted Adam Gase. I'm realizing a pattern.
No, not Gase.
Every time.
I didn't want Gase. I thought we were talking Salah.
I didn't want Gase. I wanted, at the time, what was it?
He's in Nebraska now. That's who I wanted.
Yeah, I forget his name.
McCarthy?
McCarthy, thank you.
I did not.
I wanted McCarthy over Gase. I was pumped about that, but whatever. Nevertheless, the majority were like, Gase, he's a quarterback guru. This is great. We're going to go ahead and do great things. Jets fan base, we get the coach we want, whether it's Gase or Salah or hopefully this year, whatever. We have been wrong. We have been wrong as a majority about that particular position. So for me, when it comes to Mike Vrabel, listen, I get it. It's safe, right? You don't have to worry about being scared. You kind of get an idea of what you're expecting.
You want me to make you scared real quick?
No, hold on. Let me finish this real quick.
Okay.
Mike Vrabel, to me, is not my top priority. I want an offensive-minded head coach. I'm sorry. I want an offensive-minded head coach. It's 2025, literally in like what? How many hours? In like 4 hours. It's 2025. It's over. The defensive-minded head coach in the NFL has not been successful as a Bill Belichick, Pete Carroll with his one, Mike Tomlin with his one. It's been an offensive-minded freaking organization, the NFL in general, since 2000. In the 21st century, the offensive-minded head coach has won more so than the defensive-minded head coach. That's just facts. The NFL has already showed you that they prefer to have individuals who are offensive-minded and defensive-minded. The rules have changed to benefit the offensive-minded vice defensive-minded. I'm at the point where the continuation of doing the same thing over and over, expecting different results, it's insanity. It's insanity. The defensive-minded head coach is dead. It is. I get it. It's time's up. You need to go over there real quick. I'm talking to turn that off. We're about to have a problem right now. Again, my daughter is really keen on making sure I stick to the schedule. But I'm again, just to state, I'm over the defensive-minded head coach. I'm very much with Tigo on this. Give me an offensive-minded guy that's going to allow this Jets organization to go into 2025 or the 21st century, however you want to look at it, with a refreshed vigor, right? I think Buffalo Jets fans said it beautifully. If you look at the statistics over the last, I think it's in this century, for the hot shot offensive-minded head coach, the numbers are in your favor. They win more than they lose. They're more successful than the defensive guys. It's gotten to the point where the NFL is telling us what they're looking for week in and week out. This is a money organization. If your offense can score points, that they're going to be excited about you, and those freaking referees will they'll choke on the whistle. They'll choke on it because now points. It's points. Got to get these points. The organization has told you this. Mike Vrabel to me is not top of my list. He's not. I'm sorry. And I get everybody is so scared and everyone's timid. He's the safe pick because he's won at Tennessee, blah, blah. Look, if he's the coach, fine. So be it. I'm not going to be upset about it. But if we're talking about winning Super Bowls, being relevant, you need an Andy Reid in the building. We watched the Kansas City Chiefs luck their way through an entire season to where they're going to be the number one seed in the AFC, where they've never scored 30 points, but they have an offensive-minded head coach. A lot of the freaking calls go their way. I don't understand what else you need to see in order for you to realize again, we're at 36 minutes. I'm going to say it right now. For us to go ahead and get back on track, the New York Jets need an offensive-minded head coach that focuses on putting points on the board. Defense is great. It's cute. It's fun, but it's no longer winning freaking championships. It's no longer the theme. The people, the teams that are going to the Super Bowl are putting up points, and we haven't done that in abundance in quite a long time. I think it's time for us to change the narrative, and that's my stance on it. Tigo,
I totally agree.
Okay, boom. Do your thing.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Looking at me. Lily's looking at me right now on the stairwell like you said 30 minutes. So, Tigo, do you want to say hi? Come say hi. So, I got a couple of individuals who want to go ahead and just so y'all know I'm not making this stuff up. I've got these two individuals sitting behind me like, hey, you said 30 minutes. We got to be quiet so you can go ahead and do the show. So, this is my daughter, Makia, and this is Lily. Lily, is your parents going to be okay with you being on? Are you good? I don't know. I don't want to get. All right, so I'm gonna. I'm not. We're going to my son, TJ. This is. I'm letting y'all know we're ending it early tonight. Happy New Year to you guys. Tigo, give me your last points on what I just said. We can go ahead and close this.
No, I think you nailed it. I think you nailed it on the head. The right way to move forward is with an offensive mind. The NFL is going that way, and the best way to have consistency is an offense that is clicking consistently. And no matter what you're going to say about a defensive-minded guy who, we just need a head coach, the reality is that if you look at all of the top head coaches in the NFL and all of the exciting head coaches in the NFL right now, they're all offensive guys who are consistently calling plays on the offense. We love the Harbaughs and what they're doing for their teams, but I don't think really anybody believes that the Ravens or the Chargers are going to win a Super Bowl. Look, I love Tomlin, but I don't think anybody believes that the Steelers are really in a competition to win the Super Bowl. They are the worst 10 or 11 win team I've ever seen in my life. The reality is that you're never going to count out a Sean McVay-led team because he's an offensive genius. You're never going to count out a Matt LaFleur-led team because he's an offensive genius. You're never going to count out Kyle Shanahan because he's an offensive genius. Andy Reid just operated one of the worst football teams in the NFL, number 1 seed in the AFC.
In the
And
AFC.
you know why? It's because the consistency on offense, regardless of the player, regardless of the situation, Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes are married to one another. So everything else doesn't matter around them because those two are going to be the things. Those two are going to be the key pieces that are going to operate this football team. And if we can find our offensive guru, we're going to be in a really, really good spot. And there are a couple of guys out there that you can have that conversation and say, like, look, you can bring it in. And I'll end it on this just so, because I know obviously you got to go. But if you want to be scared about Vrabel, because I know a lot of people are out there, they're Vrabel fans, and I used to be. We had a discussion about this, and Vrabel's short list for who he would want as offensive coordinator came out. You know who's at the top of that list? McDaniels.
Kill me now. Shoot me in the face.
Yeah,
right
no,
now.
like that McDaniels, the one that got that
That's-
ran Vegas into the ground. They're a dumpster fire now. They had not a single redeemable piece in that McDaniels. Yeah, that's at the top of his list to be the offensive coordinator. So again, I'm with you 100%. Go and get, and it doesn't even need to be a young guy. You want to get an old guy who's a veteran, Todd Monken. He'd be, like there are names, there are guys that are available.
There are.
And so
100%.
for me, the way that I look at it is the best case scenario, the best way to move forward is with a young offensive mind partnered with a veteran defensive mind, and they can share the load and they can share the responsibility when it comes to being a head coach. That or outsource it. We have game manager coaches and things out there that can help with those responsibilities. Dude, they got get back coaches. If you got get back coaches, you can have guys that can help you build out a staff that can help you operate that head coaching position and coming up with a vision. But go and get an offensive mind.
Yeah, I think you just blatantly put it out there the way I'm thinking it too, man. It's one of those things where we've been left behind for 14 years now. We've been left behind. The whole Adam Gase hire, I know a lot of people are saying we tried that. No, Adam Gase was a fraud from jump. Right, he was a guy who benefited from the prowess of a Peyton Manning. We know this now,
and we know it without a shadow of a doubt because Adam Gase hasn't been
No
employed
question.
since.
Exactly.
Not like, and I don't mean like employed.
Thank you, Tigo.
Employed, period.
In any capacity.
Period.
As an offensive coordinator, as a consultant,
quarterback coach,
he's no longer
nothing.
in the
No,
NFL.
dude, he's not employed. Not even in college. Adam Gase is not employed.
Beautifully said. I feel like that was one of those learning curves we didn't want to have, but it happened on our watch. It is what it is. It's a Jets thing, right? I'm just and again, and don't get it twisted. We understand the fear aspect. We get it, Jets fans. We do. We understand the concern of like, oh my God, I'm scared. I don't want to go ahead and do this all over again. Or we go with a rookie that doesn't understand time management or running the entire. We get it. Me and Tigo get it. I promise you, we talk about it regularly. We get it. We understand. What we're saying is the defensive-minded coach, right, who has the experience. Remember this. Vrabel was a head coach before in the NFL. 100%. You're right about that. But he also got fired. He also got fired as a head coach in the NFL, which means he wasn't meeting up to the standard of being an NFL head coach. This whole love and infatuation for him as if like he's the only answer and it can't go wrong. I can't jump on board with that. I just can't. I'm at this point now where I've seen the NFL for the last decade, and it's going towards the offensive-minded guy. It just is. You know, a guy like freaking Belichick, who was potentially one of the most brilliant defensive-minded coaches of our time, got fired and didn't get opportunities to get back into the NFL because, you're kind of a one-trick pony. the defensive minded guy, man. It's just one of those things where the NFL has gone away from it. If you it's either you evolve or you die, and you've seen a lot of deaths. It's as NFL head coaches, and for me, I want the opportunity for the first time in a long time to get a dog on the offensive side to lead the show. Now, I would love it if you go ahead and bring me a Flores or a Carroll as a defensive coordinator, or a guy with the head coach experience that can control the deep co head coach. I'm 100% on board with that. Like freaking Tigo brought up, because you can go ahead and kind of sell that to some of these higher end defensive minds that have been head coaches. You want to do that, but I think the head coach has to be an offensive minded guy. I just do. I look at the Miami Dolphins, and granted, the Miami Dolphins haven't beaten anybody that they shouldn't have beaten. They haven't been successful per se, but they have an opportunity to meet the playoffs this weekend. They do. We're going to the last game of the season. If the Denver Broncos choke, and of course we choke, which we probably will, the Dolphins get a chance to go to the playoffs. You want that hope. I think the majority of us would love it if we were sitting here December 31st going into 2025 thinking, oh man, last game of the season, we have a chance to make the playoffs. Dolphins fans are excited about it. Most of them are. They have a chance to still be relevant, because once you're in the playoffs, anything can happen, right? Like once you get into the dance, you can get hot, things can happen. If you're a Jets fan, you can't get a ticket. You can't even get an invitation, let alone a ticket, right? Like we're so far out of it because we've got the defense. I can't do it anymore, man. And I know we're gonna take crap for this, Tigo. We are, because we both have been very vocal about wanting offensive-minded guys, and the majority of Jets fans want Vrabel. He's the safety net. He's the dude. He's done it before.
I wanted Vrabel.
Dude got fired.
I don't care that he got
wanted
fired.
Vrabel too.
I wanted Vrabel.
I do,
because I also would like Cliff Kingsbury. I think he's a good. I think
Cliff Kingsbury.
He got fired.
Yep.
But offense.
Okay.
That's it.
But the thing is this, though, with Cliff Kingsbury, he got fired. Why? Why did he get fired? They went with a quarterback that he wasn't particularly high on, that wind up was being more interested in video games than the game. Like, there's so much more to it than that, right? Like, people will say, well, Vrabel lost freaking DeAndre Hopkins. Of course, he freaking was going to stop. I'm sorry,
No,
AJ
but
Brown.
it wasn't just that. It wasn't
Let's
just
be honest.
That. The situation in Tennessee, him getting fired, like this is where I got to push back on it. Him getting fired in Tennessee was a question mark, and the reason he got fired was because he yelled at the GM and he yelled at the owner. That's why he got fired. No, we know that. That's public. That's why he got fired. Is because he was having public beef with the GM and the owner, and so they fired him.
It wasn't. I think the reason he got fired was because him and the GM didn't see things eye to eye.
He went public with it.
The GM, I don't know, man. I know a lot. You look at the timing of everything, right? With him saying something and then him getting let go. I can understand the argument, but this is a guy who he made your organization relevant. He did. If you're the owner and you're sitting there and you're like, oh man, this guy took us to the AFC Championship game 2 years ago. He ain't shit. Like, we're gonna go ahead and go. I feel like at that point, then you're just as freaking disoriented.
Well,
as
yeah.
we are as Jet.
That's the thing. Tennessee
You're
is. Tennessee's not a well-owned team. Like, that's the other thing, because Tennessee has been a coaching carousel and with lack of leadership, trying to figure things out. Like,
you're right.
I'm not sitting. Here's the thing. I don't want Vrabel now because of the short list of his offensive candidates, like his OC candidates. Because if a better list came out of guys that he would want as OC, I'd be on board. But the rumor came out that the guy that he wants is it Josh McDaniels? I think it's Josh McDaniels. That's who he wants. And that's absurd to me. I can't have that happen. That's not, I can't support that, like, at all. Dude, like, if you would have told me, you know what? He wants Byron Leftwich because Leftwich wants back into the NFL, I'd be like, give me Vrabel. I'd be back on board.
Yeah.
But that's not the case. There's only one, in my opinion, head coaching candidate who's a defensive guy that should get a look, and that's Aaron Glenn, and that's it. That's it. Outside of Glenn, if they operate on the defensive side of the ball, don't touch. Don't.
That's
There's
fair.
no point.
And I can support Aaron Glenn because of what he's been able to achieve with his primary weapons on defense injured, gone, just devastated. This dude has
Gone.
continued to go ahead and put a quality product out there because he's schemed it and he's been able to go ahead and manufacture the best defense possible with the skill sets of the players he has. I'll give you that. Aaron Glenn to me is one of those guys who's getting some hate right now, which is surprising because like, oh, they've fallen off. They've fallen off, but why though? And when you say fallen off, they went from freaking being a top 5 defense to a top 10 defense.
Oh,
That's the fall off when he's lost stars on defense. Stars.
The NFL
Like,
sack leader,
their
biggest defensive tackle, the backup who was performing well, the backup to the backup to the backup who was performing well.
And that's the thing.
The water boy's uncle. Everybody's getting hurt, dude.
They're getting hurt. And to go from a top 5 defense to still a top 10 unit when you've been
win the Super Bowl.
Devastated, bro, you're going to the Super Bowl. I think it's either them or the
Bowl.
Vikings on the for the NFC.
Nah, they just beat the Vikings.
They did 100%. But I still believe the Vikings being healthier, that takes an advantage. Once you get into the playoffs, things change a little bit. I think it's Lions or Vikings in the Super Bowl. I don't see it being any other team from the NFC. And my wife is a huge Packers fan, and I'm saying this. She just yelled at me for saying it out loud. You heard it. But like, even she can be honest and look at her team, and she's like, "We'll make the playoffs. We're definitely a playoff team. We need a lot of things to go right for us to make the Super Bowl." I think the Lions and the Vikings, unfortunately for her, being in her division, it doesn't help the situation. And I'm getting the finger right now because I said that out loud. But nevertheless, I am outside the club. We can't get in. So we can't hate from outside the club because we
can't even get into the city. Let's not be real. We're not just outside the club.
You're going to make the playoffs every freaking year. I can say that I'm going to go for a Super Bowl run. I can have that belief.
I never said you couldn't say it. She can't. I never said you couldn't say it.
I'll say it. She can't.
You can say that. I'm not.
No, I'm not. You can tell her. I'm saying Jordan Love is your quarterback. You're gonna go to the Super Bowl. Come on, be real.
Tigo wants to let you know that you guys can't. You're not going to the Super Bowl.
Oh, guess what? You were disqualified in week 4. Shut up.
No, totally.
Tigo.
I don't give a fuck.
Okay. Well, we're live right now. So as you heard her, Tigo, she doesn't give a fuck.
She's not wrong. She's not wrong about the Jets.
She's
the Jets
not
are
wrong.
Dumpster fire.
The Jets are trash.
I'm not going to sit here and say that my team's better.
You're right. The Jets are trash. You're right. You got us.
I've been watching horrible football for 20 years. I know what it takes to win because I have never seen it. I can only watch other teams do it.
Listen,
I'm
with you. I've said the same thing. We know what bad football looks like. It's just a thing. It's just football. E-Boogie goes with Happy New Year's, fellas. Hey, E-Boogie, we appreciate you, brother. Thanks for the comment. Thanks for being a 4-month member of the Gunnies Fire Squad. I've definitely gone over the 30 minutes. I told them.
I was gonna say go home.
You and I both said 30 minutes. I've got my daughter over here looking at me hard right now, like what is going on? And my wife, of course, talking crap because we brought the Packers. This was unintended. Dano, what's good, my guy? Somebody asked me a question about what I was drinking. It's obviously gone, but it's sweet tea and Barcelo rum from the Dominican Republic. It's delicious. It's good stuff. Ron Barcelo, the Anejo, the Anejo rum with sweet tea, great stuff. Mexican Coke, it's also a G. It's great stuff. But Tigo, my guy, I appreciate you. I've seen in the comments that you're about to go ahead and jump on your channel.
Maybe.
So everybody can go ahead. You might be doing that. Listen, Happy New Year, everybody. Happy New Year. We appreciate you guys for chopping it up with us, talking New York Jets, especially when you're talking about a team that's giving you nothing to be excited about, and y'all are still here. You're sick individuals, so am I. This is what we do. Tigo's a sick individual. This is what we do. We love this team more than they love us. It is what it is. But with that said, we've broken down what our it looks like for us to go ahead and achieve greatness or potentially anything relevant in 2025, the 2024 season, how it went awry. Tigo, tell the people where they can go ahead and find you, brother. And then we'll go ahead and call it a day.
Hey, it's Talking Jets with Tigo. It's cool. I'm going to go do some things. I might go hop on live. Like I said, I got nothing to do. So I might hang out. Gunny, happy new year. See you in 2025. Thomas Gunny, I love her. Even though her opinions on football are wrong.
I would tell Mrs. Gunny you love her as well. Hey, Mrs. Gunny, Tigo says what's up. He got nothing but love for you. Bobrin children or Gunny children. I can give him my last name. They know now.
I didn't want to do. I know the last name, but I was
that. I know you.
I was
did.
like,
I just said that out loud. Whatever. Hey, there's only a handful of us in the U.S. Everybody, I appreciate you guys. Everybody who's shopping it up with us, thank you guys for getting on and just talking Jets. You're weird. You're weird individuals.
Yes.
The Jets have done nothing for you. And here we are on New Year's Eve / day. You're chopping it up with us for freaking 55 minutes. And there's 124 of you who've watched this. You're sick. Something's wrong between Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. You're sick. I don't know what you're thinking. This Jets team has not been this dedicated to you as you have been to talking about the New York Jets. Again, E-Boogie, I appreciate you, man, for being a 4-month member. Shane, for real, congratulations on winning the Jet Situation Report freaking Fantasy Football League. You're that dude. You're going to get an autographed freaking jersey sent your way as our league champion. Automatic admission into next season. It's been great. Again, if you were asking about the drink of the day for me, it's going to be the Barcelo Anejo freaking rum with sweet tea. Enjoy. I promise you, you won't regret it. Tigo, my man, thank you, man, for taking the time out to go ahead and talk Jets with me, brother. I appreciate you as always. I'll be texting you because it's what we do.
Yep.
And for the rest of you guys, man, have a good night. Happy New Year. Be safe. Don't blow your hands up playing around with fireworks. And as always, go Jets. 2025 is amongst us. We can start talking about freaking next year now. It's official. We can put this crap-ass season behind us. So, again, good night. And, yeah, y'all are appreciated.
I can do it all, I will never fall. It's the Renaissance, you know that I got the mother sauce, man. You know I'm the boss, I know what it costs. Have you won a loss? I'm so versatile, yeah, I'm a Renaissance, man. I can do it all, I will never fall. It's the Renaissance, you know that I got the mother sauce, man. You know I'm the boss, I know what it costs. Have you won a loss? I'm so versatile, yeah, I'm a Renaissance, man.